Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Real Estate Playbook. As I promised, we have a guest again this week. Her name is Emily Haight. Am I saying that right, by the way?
You're right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I should have asked you before we started
Totally
recording,
fine.
but you never know. So yeah, we'll just jump right into it here. So Emily, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Awesome. Pretty good. Thanks for asking. I feel a little thrown off my rhythm because we basically did like a whole nother podcast before we started recording.
We did.
But that's all right. A little warm up for you there.
Yeah.
So Emily, I've known you for 9 months. I don't know. I guess we were saying.
Yeah.
But for the people that don't know you, how did you get your start in real estate? How did you become the Emily Haight that you are today?
I mean, definitely started with my career in property management. Started that and did that for about 6 months. Realized that it was not for me just due to the chaos of the company, not the environment. The environment was great. I loved every moment of chaos with that. So I decided to take a different route. I can't stand, the sitting at a desk, the 9 to 5, just staring at a screen. That's not my vibe. Can't do that. So I decided I at least wanted to take the steps necessary to become a real estate agent. And I kind of jumped the gun. I went ahead and started looking at brokerages even before I had my license. And 54 Realty, funny enough, was the first one that
Really?
I had even researched. And I was like, oh my God, this place looks amazing. And I had my interview with Joe. And that's when he introduced the whole, splits, everything with being a realtor for the company. And then he introduced the agent partner position. I was like, oh, damn, like that, definitely. And that just a start into the field that would give me that whole kickstart, learn the systems, electronics of everything here already at 54 Realty, and then just be easy to transition. So that's how I had pretty much got my start.
Solid. Can I ask, did you find the brokerage just in searching brokerages, or did you find the job position first and then kind of go that way?
So it was in searching brokerages, actually. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was looking literally in the whole Tampa Bay area. I know that, this isn't Land O'Lakes, but this was one of the first ones to come up, and just reading the reviews, I was like, wow, it was a smaller brokerage. I didn't want to go for, one of the giant mega companies or online brokerages. No. So this was definitely something that I wanted. And then reading reviews, I was like, oh my God, this place looks great. So I went in and I was like, this is too good to be true. I called my parents afterwards. I was like, you won't believe what happened. And they're like, wow, that's crazy. It was good.
I got to ask, because Joe interviewed me too. It was a pretty chill interview, right?
It was such a chill interview. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was great. He was just talking to, I just made a friend or something. It was awesome. It was great.
Yeah, I was so nervous going in. I'm sweating, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Even though I had friends that worked here, and I was like, okay, you got this. And then Joe comes in and he's the most chill guy ever.
Literally.
All right. So
nice. He was like, oh, literally in the interview, he's like, oh, so you want to start next Monday? I was like, yeah, definitely. That was great, man. I'll definitely start next Monday.
So Emily, I'll jump around the questions because you just sort of brought this up. So you did start as an agent partner in that role, which is a role that we still have. And it started pretty small. I think you were there when it was 4 or 5 people.
4 people. Yeah.
And now it's 10 plus, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's grown a lot, but I think there's people that don't really know kind of what that is. So could you kind of just explain a little bit of what the role is and how it may have prepared you for being an agent?
So I feel like the best way to describe it is that, because of our partnership with Zillow, and then on top of that, we have Google, and the leads that come in through Google, Ylopo, Realtor.com. I mean, there are so many sources now, even now. Back then, I think we didn't have Realtor.com, and there was one other I think we didn't have. So it's basically you're working on this database, you receive the phone calls of potential buyers, potential clients that are interested in properties, whether it be buying. The selling part was new. I actually didn't get to do anything with the selling thing. I think they do that now.
I think so, yeah.
So for us, it was mainly just buyers. We talk to them, give them some basic information about the home, what they're looking for. And then from there, we kind of see if they're ready to be set up with an agent. And that's kind of filtering out, the people who, aren't exactly ready. They're just kind of looking on the surface level, and maybe they'll say, oh, I have a realtor. It's then so we kind of steer the conversation of oh, well, work with your realtor. This is how this goes. Just educating people just on the surface level. Then once they get connected with an agent, which we help connect them with the agent, then it's kind of keeping that communication there, making sure it's steady. It's, there's no weird moments of silence throughout.
Right.
And hopefully it leads to something under contract,
Sweet. So it sounds like you were kind of attacking a couple different fronts there. So like obviously promoting just the brokerage in general, because when you would have those clients who weren't necessarily ready to purchase, you're still being like, hey, we're a good resource. And hopefully maybe somebody that down the line might want to use us. Yeah. And then nurturing the leads as a whole.
That's one thing I forgot. Yeah. So that was the biggest part of that. I say that I'm so used to, because now that I'm an agent, I'm like, oh, it's just transferring to the agent. Yeah. No, but the biggest part of that position was literally nurturing the leads. And that was a huge thing, because that's giving you such a big step into becoming an agent, because you're setting up those home searches for them. Right. And that's one of the biggest parts as an agent. I mean, that's your first initial kind of interaction, and them seeing what your quality is, what your worth is. It's like, oh, show me what you got. Like, show me what houses you're going to send over, this and that. I mean, thanks to our amazing system that we have. But that was pretty much, nurturing. Constantly keeping in communication. You had your set tasks that you do every day and your set amount that you reach out to every day. And it was, hundreds of people.
Yeah, I've seen the numbers. It's kind of scary.
I was shocked seeing like our results for, I think they totaled them every month back then. I don't know what they do to show their result. Maybe it's like weekly or something like that. Right. It was wild to see the number of phone calls, messages. Like, oh my God.
I did that. Wow.
Like, oh my God, I'm capable.
So I would think you're right. The home search is a big aspect, especially for becoming an agent. And then the other thing that I would suppose, and you can tell me if I'm totally wrong on this, but like just talking to people on the phone and kind of approaching it from that consultative, if that is a word, aspect of, right? Hey, why not? Of being an agent, or in that case, an agent partner, must make it easier, like being on the phone as an agent, right?
Oh, so much easier. I think phone skills are huge. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's what you're going to have before meeting the person. So, I mean, you need to be able to talk on the phone with absolute confidence. You can't be stuttering and long pauses and the awkwardness. You need to be able to just literally attack it from the front. I mean, it's the only way to really go about it. That prepared me so much. Thankfully, I had some prior experience working at Publix, property management. I was already on the phone, not as much as here, but did have some prior experience, but crucial confidence.
It's definitely a fun skill to have. Like, I'm the designated phone guy for the marketing department, just because we were just talking about before this, but my old job, I was on the phone a lot. Just knowing how to deal with different situations and personalities is so crucial,
How to de-escalate.
Yeah, de-escalation.
That is the biggest one. That is by far, that will be, forget about everything else. Learn how to de-escalate, and then you're golden. You're golden. You're golden.
Come back in 10 years, we'll be FBI negotiators, hostage negotiators. So that's awesome, Emily. So I can see it kind of materializing even now too. Like, you're obviously a success story from that sort of program. And I don't think necessarily everybody that is an agent partner will eventually become an agent. Maybe they don't desire to. Yeah. But I've seen others like Nicole, obviously, Ashley. Nicole, shout out to Nicole. Shout out to Ashley W. And then Austin very recently too, just started,
yeah. Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Becoming an agent. And like all four of you guys, I think of as like super strong agents. I mean, obviously Austin's just starting, but so I think that's definitely a good path for people to take if they're interested. Definitely. Speaking of your success, so you had a big month last month, right? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well.
So we were just talking before this, but it's been about 6-ish months that you've been an actual agent, right? But you crushed it last month, which some people can only like hope and dream for, right? Oh. So we do like a top 10 agents sort of thing here at the brokerage, and you were in that top 10. So congrats, applause. I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit to kind of what led to your success and maybe the craziness of last month, if you could.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I will say closing or getting the 3 deals and then closing the 3 deals in 1 month was definitely luck. Did have to play into it. I will say I got some fantastic clients that were just good to go. They were so determined. And I think a lot of it played in was confidence as well.
Right.
Out of state, I had a lady come from Alaska. It was amazing coordinating that. Yeah, it was So it turned out so well, and they were, they were all cash buyers. It was very quick closes, literally 2-3 week closes. Yeah, I think one was a homestead, one was a investment property, and then the third was also an investment property. It was like a 55 up condo. So that's kind of how, there was nothing really in particular. Honestly, it just comes in waves. That's the best I can describe it. Because my first month in real estate, my first 2 months actually, it was quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like taking it all in. And then, after that, I feel like you have enough buyers that you're working with, and you eventually you're submitting more and more offers, stuff like that. And the market is challenging as well, without a doubt. The market is so challenging. At the time there was like, oh my God, there was like 15, 20 offers on a property. It's still like that. In some cases and scenarios, it seemed like a little bit of decline, but that was the hardest part
for sure
as a new agent, because you were just wanting the experience of like being under contract, like step by step. What do I do? And so that once I got all of those experiences from the first couple of months, that's what made that month so big, is because leading up to it, oh my God, I had done FHA, VA, conventional cash, like every single thing possible, every single scenario, post occupancy. Oh my gosh, anything you could add to an offer, I had added it at that point. Yeah. Calling my team leader. Oh my God, shout out to Orlana. Amazing. She helped me in the latest hours of the night when I had to submit offers. And it definitely helped so much being that prepared. These were fast. Negotiating with the listing agents, quick. Having that relationship, that's what taught me. And I like advice for newer agents definitely is, talk to the listing agents. Oh my gosh. I just didn't really know like what conversations I should be having with the listing agents.
Yeah.
And you just normal, just like treat them like a human being. It's just not just another person on the side of the phone. Like, have a funny conversation with them, get on their good side. We're all humans. We're not like, we should not be looking at this in forms of like monetary gain. And unfortunately, so much of it is. And you see so many of the negative sides of real estate, and just people are only focused on the monetary gain rather than like actually helping
people.
Yeah. Literally. Oh.
You just touched on so many things I want to ask you about.
I'm so sorry. There were so many things.
No, that was great.
Oh my goodness.
The first thing that I thought of was like confidence, because it should be said that, having this amount of success in 6 months of being an agent is like not the norm, right? Not necessarily. It's tough to do. So shout out to you, first of all.
Thank you.
But I do think the confidence plays a big part of it, because, and we've discussed this in like trainings at the brokerage too. I think it was Nico maybe that asked it, but like, he's like, how do I project to like my buyers, sellers, list agents, whoever, that I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm talking about, even though I am relatively newly licensed.
So hard.
So I think that the confidence plays a big aspect there, because even if there is something that you maybe don't know or aren't sure of how to approach, you got people to help, that sort of thing. Your
team leaders are there to help you. Literally the first 2 months, it was like the second I was done speaking with a buyer, it was immediate phone call, text message to Orlana. I was like, what do I do? I don't even know what this situation is. Like, what are they talking about? Closing funds? Like who pays what? What am I doing? Like, oh my God, it was so overwhelming. And it's experience.
For sure.
They can only teach you so much. You can't just like sit cooped up in your home, like watching these leads come in and just never take any of them because you're too scared of how the interaction's going to go and not being experienced. You're going to take some failures. 100. Oh my God. Take those L's and learn. Just don't be like, I don't know. Just don't be cocky about it. Just literally take the L and learn.
The first lead jitters are a big thing. That was another thing that you mentioned that kind of resonated with me, is like, and we were kind of talking about this earlier again, which is like, you're going to have to screw up and be wrong a lot of the time before you can get, the ball in the hoop, as they say. And
even when you have that ball rolling, you're still going to screw up 50 million more times. You're still going to do it. You could be having so much success, and that's what I don't want to like stray too far from the topic.
Do it.
But I feel like so much of social media as like agents is just focused on the positives. It's like our success stories as agents and literally try go on Instagram, go on TikTok and try and find failure stories of realtors and like brokerages. they literally don't exist unless it's like a nightmare horror story.
Yeah.
That's like funny and you're going to get views because it's like, oh, haha, like it's crazy. That's a huge thing. And as new agents, they're seeing that. And so they're just thinking like, oh my God, it's just all success. It's rainbows and
money,
sunshine.
Yeah.
These people are so great. And then they're experiencing the failure firsthand. They're like, there must be something wrong with me. Like no one else seems to be experiencing that. False. Everyone experiences it.
No, that's a great point. Two things there. The first is I do see some agents like kind of work in the failures a little bit into the success stories, if that makes sense. Like, you'll see closing pictures and they're like, it was a nightmare deal, but we made it to the closing table and you got the keys. That sort of thing.
Actually, you are right. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think it's important to be transparent about that, because I think exactly what you were saying about people get into it because they see the success, the money, etc., and then quickly realize it's not that easy, leads to this infamous like statistic, which I don't know the exact number, but in real estate, like there is such a high turnover of people who get their license start
it's huge.
and either just fizzle out or whatever.
It's 2 years. I think it's like 60. Don't quote me on that.
I know, same, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. But I know it's an insane percentage within the first 6 months. 6 months to 2 years, the drop-off percentage, I read this somewhere, I can't remember where. And I think my real estate course was even telling me about this. It's huge.
Sad.
Crazy. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail, people, you know? Wouldn't hurt to have some money saved while you fail, you know? But
yes. I will say, you can't just go at that and then be like, oh, I'm failing, I'm just going to sit here and wait. And like, success will come around. Don't make sure you go broke in the process. Do have money saved up for bills.
Hey.
Whether that be another job or you saved up prior.
Or you're selling cryptocurrency. You never know. It's so like, okay, so I'll level with you. Mm-hmm. The same kind of things come up on here all the time. And it's so funny because they start to sound like cliches, but the reality is like, it's just the truth, right?
Sure.
So I did an episode with Alexis, who is killing it right now.
Oh my God, amazing.
Right?
Oh my God, I'm so jealous.
And she was describing like that exact scenario where, you know, she was having slow months and God, should I quit? Should I get a part-time job? What the hell do I do? Within a month, I think she said she's killing it as she is right now. So to this point that we're making about stick it out, look at these success stories or what have become success stories. And it won't happen unless you keep at it. There you go.
Mic down.
There it is. So the other thing that you mentioned, and you kind of covered this, but I'm curious about Arlena being your team leader. So first of all, shout out to Arlena. And I'm always curious to hear like how people's team leaders kind of influence them. So do you think that it was mainly just her always being there as like a go-to, or was there like some kind of guidance also that she provided you along the way?
It was a combination of both, because she just in the moments as being a new agent, like prior to being an agent, you have no idea how to submit an offer. You don't know how to show a house. Like, oh my God, there's literally everything of being an agent. You're not going to be prepared for it. I'm just going to say it. After taking your real estate course and after getting licensed, you will 100% not be prepared for this unless you've done a similar field in the past. Maybe some elements of property management. I don't know.
Hey.
Definitely having her there literally every second of the way. It was mainly like the phone calls and the guidance. It was not, you can't really just throw all the information at someone and then just like, okay, then apply it.
Have fun.
Yeah, have fun. You just learn this now all in like 2 hours and then just apply it on the field and then like never talk to me again. But no, it was, as the situations were coming in, I'd call her. She'd tell me exactly what's going on. And that's how she advised me to do it. She's like, look, let's not discuss this now. As soon as you come to it, we'll talk about it. And that worked out great.
Nice.
Amazing. And she was available like 24/7. I know I called her. And I know it's the same for everyone.
Pretty much.
Never be afraid to blow their phone up. It's going to happen.
For sure.
It's just going to be like that.
I wonder about that because like every agent says like, yeah, I call her at all hours of the night. And, you know, whether it's Arlena or Allison, when she's team leader, Mike and Debbie, I'm just like, are their phones just going off like constantly?
I wish I could like be a fly on the wall and just
seriously
literally see that. I can't imagine.
Sometimes I get that with Mike because he's here all the time.
Mike, oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he's got the biggest team, I think. Don't quote me on that, but insanity. So another shout out to Arlena and all the team leaders out there. So Emily, this is something I want to talk to you about. I talked to Austin Hammer about this on an earlier episode, and somebody else who I'm feeling bad because I can't remember who it was, but it might've been Amanda actually, Moonier. So we're talking about like age as a real estate agent. I guess ageism is like the harsher way to classify what I'm about to ask you about. But, you know, we're both young and with any career, but especially ones where you're handling such a large purchase or situation, there is a degree of clients or other agents or whoever it might be kind of being like, look at this person. Like, do they know what they're talking about? Right. So I'm curious if you had any experience with that and kind of how you dealt with it.
Yeah, it's very, very prevalent with everyone. It's not just your clients, it's the listing agents. I mean, it's everyone.
Right.
They're going to see you as a young face. They're going to think you are brand new. You're this brand new baby that has no idea what the hell they're doing. And they're going to kind of like treat you not in like a nasty way, but they're going to just make you feel like you know nothing.
Yeah.
and just be overwhelming. That's the kind of play that I've gotten from listing agents. And even though now that I'm more experienced, I think back on those experiences and I'm like, man, they were just being overcomplicated for no reason. There's just no meaning behind it. And so that was definitely like, and they could tell that I was younger. You know, it's not like I met them, but I think the email signature from the offer submitted, they see the picture. And so they're probably like something having to do with that. With clients, I can tell that I haven't had like a very negative experience. I have had clients that have tried to bully me and push me around into thinking like that they all of a sudden know 50 million times more than like what Zillow's doing or like what we're doing. And it's very interesting. I had someone, I don't know like how far in depth I can go into this story, but I did have a buyer who wanted to go 120,000 less than the asking price. It was him and his wife, and they were significantly older than me. I think they're retired. And oh my God, he was just pushing me, telling me that you're only going to be in real estate for another year. This is something you do while you're young. Good luck at that. Like really demeaning, just basically telling me like, I'm just going to quit. Like, this is not the job for me, that I'm too nice. Oh my God. He was like, you're way too nice to be doing real estate. Like you can't be, this is just not for you. Basically telling me what my career was.
It's and just like reading your whole life. It's
literally, oh my God. I was like, what the hell? What's going on here? And so having to shut that down, that was the hardest one because this was one of like my 5th showing ever. And so I still knew nothing. And it was very difficult because I'm trying to make it seem like I know something and he is reading right through me because I think he worked with, he was a loan officer, Mayor, like he did something with them. So he had somewhat of an experience, but it was with like foreclosures and stuff like that. He short sales and whatnot, not buying, like this was like a new construction house almost. It was like maybe 2 or 3 years old. He wants to go 120,000 lower.
In this market?
I was like, oh, okay. And so me being hell, and I unfortunately did give into the situation, and this is something I do regret. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, who knows, a Zillow home. I was like, yeah, sure. Who knows what Zillow will say? And in my mind, I'm like, no, why am I saying that? Why I need to stand my ground? Like, this is just not right. I even called Arlena afterwards and I was like, this guy, I mean, just because he sees how young I am and he sees that he can sense how inexperienced I am, like he's just walking all over me. She was like, don't stand for that. And I didn't. So afterwards, through exchange of text messages, very much put it straight. And he respected it. He didn't no deal came out of it just because of the mentality of wanting to underbid so much. But still, he got it. He got it real quick.
I consider that a win in my book.
Yeah.
On your part, I mean.
Personality or like more morality win, something like that. I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
You had the high ground in that scenario, I would say. No, that's all good. I was going to say, like, just to circle back, this through line that we've had of like confidence, I think played a big part in that. at once like giving you the courage to kind of stand up to him and then like boosting your confidence when you actually did it, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
So I can only imagine that helps in this scenario of for lack of a better term, ageism kind of thing, right? Because it's going to happen. Like there's no way to reverse that in society, you know, or in this industry. But I can imagine the confidence helps for sure. And just having the right people to ask the questions too.
I think that's the main way to overcome the ageism. I feel like that's a very strong word for that.
I know. Every time I say it, I'm like,
it's a thing, but that is a very strong word for that. Is that confidence? I'm trying to pinpoint like other methods that you could possibly use. It's knowledge and knowledge makes confidence. So, because there's no point being confident and then people can read right through you. They ask you two complex questions that are diving a little bit inward. And then you're like, I don't know. And you're like just pausing. They can immediately tell something's up.
For sure.
So
I experienced similar things like in my last job. And I looked different back then too. I had like long, like shoulder length hair, no facial hair, like baby faced. Yeah. I would get that all the time. Yeah. So, and I think when I started that job, I was probably like 18.
Wow.
And you're signing complex legal paperwork, talking about finances and this and that. So I always had this thing in the back of my head of like, are these people going to take me seriously? Am I going to kill this deal when I go out there and talk to them? But at a certain point, I do think confidence plays a huge part, but at a certain point, also just knowing your shit, I think definitely helps too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's hard because it's like, you got to know your shit, but then you have to start from nowhere to get somewhere. And then you have to call like your leader all the time. It is a circle. It's so complicated.
Yeah.
But you will get there. You will get there eventually.
Like, you'll get there.
I promise.
Hang in there. I'm going to put the picture of the cat like hanging on the bench. That's the title of this episode. All right.
Yep. New title.
So Emily, all good advice there. I'm curious, what would you say, and we kind of touched on this, but what would you say is your biggest strength overall? It doesn't necessarily have to be just in real estate, but.
Definitely being able to adapt so quickly to chaotic situations. In real estate, the most unexpected things are going to happen when you least expect them, and you just have to be able to take it and run with it. Whether it be a response to your, like whether a client is responding to a question you asked and it was like the last thing you ever expected them to say. You just have to be able to run with it. You just have to be able to go with it. I mean, yeah, just that.
Truly. I think that's a very valuable skill. And I can only imagine some of the stories that like our agents have that we just haven't heard, because you do deal with everything just from what I hear, as you said. So maybe we should, to our earlier point, start posting some of those weird stories that you have on social media.
Have like a wall, have a wall in the office.
Yeah. Ooh, good idea.
Where people write them down. I would love to read some of the craziest stories. I think it would just be such a good bonding moment because oh my gosh, they happen so often.
That would be a good just concept for a podcast in general, I think, is that sort of side of things.
Oh, that would be a great podcast.
There you go.
Do that. Do like flip or flop. Look at flips and then they flop. I'm just kidding.
No, that's awesome. So obviously everybody has strengths, but everybody also has weaknesses, obstacles, hurdles, fudge 'em ups, whatever you want to call them. I just made that up. It was pretty good, huh? What would you say is yours, and is it something that you're like actively kind of dealing with, or is it something that you've overcome in the past, perhaps?
Definitely still actively dealing with it. It's because I'm still a new agent, I've been getting very emotionally tied into my deals that I do, the interactions that I have. Mm-hmm. I've definitely gotten so much better at it, but I do still have those moments. In the beginning, like I remember I was literally like sobbing when an offer was not accepted, even after like the listing agent would tell me like, oh no, we're good. Like we're good. It's going to be great. And then just having to tell my buyer that, I feel like maybe I'm just like an empathetic person, but I could feel like on the other end, I'm like, my buyer's going to be so upset. And I'm doing this for my buyer, like no other reason, because I want them to be happy in their dream home. And that's the hardest part, is like telling them the rejection is so difficult. For me, it was dealing with the rejection and getting like way too emotionally tied into it. And then return was stressing me out, giving me anxiety, and like I had just putting all of that into like a hobby or something because I have all this time like doing that.
You're like on a detective show when they're like, you're too close to this case, Martinez, you know, that kind of
Back
thing.
out.
No, I think that can be tough. Like being the bearer of bad news in any scenario, personal or professional, is always tough.
Sucks.
Yeah. I guess it would help maybe, and I'm sure this is something you've realized at this point, but I'm sure 9 times out of 10, it's not your fault when something bad like that happens, right? So I can imagine that would help, but that is tough.
It's hard because they look at you when you're even though 9 times out of 10, it's not your fault at all.
Yeah.
Just being the deliverer of that message, they're going to like automatically look at you and associate you with that. So you're like, oh, damn.
You gotta deal with some blowback sometimes.
Yeah, and you worry that like they're never going to come back again. And I still worry that, you know, even closed deals that I've done, you know, my first ever deal was like an FHA buyer, and I didn't realize like how hard it is to get under contract with FHA buyer. And we did it pretty well, but I guess there was it was messy.
Yeah.
On the lending side of things, it was very messy, and she was upset with it, extremely upset because I had recommended this lender.
Oof.
I had recommended this lender. I talked really, really highly about them. And so I think that made me look really bad. But honestly, in the end, it wasn't even really the lender's fault at all. It was just she had a complicated situation. As simple as that, just very complicated situation that could not be worked out in a matter of like 30 days. So I had to take that instinct. We still closed. Everything was good. But I think what could have been repeat business may have been killed by her perception of that.
That's rough. That's so were you saying, maybe I misinterpreted this, but I think you mentioned before you start telling the story, you're like, you often think about that still, and you're like, what if something comes up from that?
All the time. Oh my God, all the time.
I made that point just to make a silly joke of like, that's kind of how I feel with my college degree sometimes. Like sometimes I feel like I'm going to get a letter in the mail. Unfortunately, this is no longer valid. You know, I'm really sorry to say.
Damn.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't remember who. I'm so bad at this. I need to like start making notes of like people's names, right? But I talked to somebody about like imposter syndrome. So do you think that kind of plays a part? Like that's such a prevalent thing, I think.
I didn't even think about that. Oh my God, it's like perfect description. Yeah.
So I think maybe that is kind of like the obstacle thing you're describing there. And that's tough to get over. Yeah.
It's huge with the age, and then just like going into something new. I feel that's huge, especially a career like this. Oh, 100%. I didn't even think about that.
Who the hell was that? I'm sorry, whoever you are. No, but I think a lot of people to some degree kind of struggle with that. And it's just a matter of like taking easy on yourself, I think is a good way to put that.
Be easy on yourself. Oh my gosh. I have so many weaknesses, man. I am my worst critic. I can be very, very negative and like critical of myself and like situations around me. And I am very much struggling with that right now. That is huge. And I feel like in real estate that it's very hard not to be in certain situations. So trying to find like that shout out to Ashley Wire, because I feel like she is the most positive, bright, rainbow sunshine person I've ever met. Yeah. And so I feel like that's definitely someone that I look up to in terms of like mentality, that I want to have that kind of positivity looking at situations. Yeah. It'll take you places for sure. It's taking her places. She's gonna do.
Without saying too much, she's a badass. So yeah. Shout out to Ashley. I forget what I was gonna say there, but you're good. So I just have 2 more questions for you, Emily. Time has flown by here. If you hadn't chosen real estate as your career, what would you be doing? Or I should say, if you hadn't chosen to be a real estate agent as your career, what would you see yourself doing?
I would be. It would be property management.
Yeah.
It would be some sector of property management. I really, 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 really wanted to like have my own property management company and have it be successful. But I ended up joining a big corporation. Didn't work out too well. And it wasn't, the job itself was amazing. I loved every second of being connecting with the residents, and it was like an in-house property management.
Yeah.
So it's like we were there 24/7 with the residents. So it's like you're living with the residents.
Oh, I see. Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was wild. So you get to know them really well. You get to know their dogs' names, what their unit number is, the packages, that kind of everything. And that was just so entertaining. That was so much fun. So I would definitely, I don't know if I would go to that degree again. And it was the company, unfortunately, that made it very miserable. So on a small sector, I will always support small businesses. Oh my God.
Tiny ones.
Yeah.
Which coincidentally, well, we're getting less small by the day, but
I think it's great. I love the expansion. Oh my gosh, I can't believe still.
Yeah, same.
That I put myself on that leads channel and I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go down to Fort Myers. So I'm like, I'm in St. Pete.
Yeah.
And then I took some leads and they didn't end up working out, but oh my God, it's like a 2.5 hour drive.
Oof.
Yeah. And I was trying to like reason it in my head and I was like, oh yes, good, great. I can like do a beach day or like a beach weekend or something.
Sweat equity, as they say.
Literally. And I think it's amazing. I wanted to be a part of it, but it's going to go places for sure.
For sure. On the subject of property management, not saying that you necessarily would, but if you found yourself wanting to get back into it, do you think it would be easier now that you have an experience as an agent? Do you think that translates at all?
Oh yeah. It took me a second.
No, you're good.
100%. There was things that I was just oblivious to as a supervisor in a building of a property management company. I should have known a lot more versus, at they'll require you to get a CAM license, which kind of goes over association, like condo associations and how their bylaws work, this and that, all the nitty bitty stuff of that. And so I feel like as an agent, I've learned a lot about HOAs, condo associations, like that stuff in its own. Maybe not as like in detail as that, but that's huge having that background and then coming into that.
This you camera. I just gotta switch the battery.
I was like, oh no.
That was so stupid.
No.
We're back, folks. So you were saying, I don't remember what you were saying. I'm so sorry. Property management, the HOA and CDD things kind of would help out if you were to go back.
Yeah, I think there's not really much that would, it'd mainly be like the one-on-one interactions with people, but property management, oh my God. Although there's some similarities, I will say it is a completely different animal. 100%.
I believe it.
With real estate, you're not going to have, a buyer calling you at 2 a.m. saying, hey, my water or my toilet is like gushing out water and everything's flooded. You need to fix this. So you're not going to deal with that. And as a property manager or like assistant, 100%. It is like dealing with those emergency situations. Maybe someone decides to throw a 50-person party at your Airbnb.
Hey.
That's for 2 people. You gotta call the cops now.
Shoot. I've never done that before.
Darn, I've never
done that. No, not 50 people.
I know.
Jesus.
I know. I've seen it. I have seen it. So it's been crazy. So I mean, while there are similarities, I think there's more differences. I think it would actually be, from what I've heard when I worked in property management, and people that have done other jobs coming into it, they all say property management is by far one of the most stressful, chaotic jobs. Coming into real estate, this is a breeze. Honestly, compared to the situations I had to deal with in property management, this is nice.
So it worked well in reverse then. Nice. So all good stuff, Emily. We are going to end with the same thing that I always ask my guests. You've given a lot of advice here. All good. If you could give one, not literally one word, I feel like I always have to clarify that, but if you could give some advice to new agents or agents who are struggling, what would you say to them?
I repeat this in my head. This is going to sound so cheesy. I repeat this in my head probably every other day. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I'm putting up the Michael Scott thing right here. Yeah.
100%. It's so cheesy. But when you think about it for newer agents, and that's what kind of pushed me. I was like, oh, this is so dumb. Like, why am I even thinking about this phrase? And then I was like, dude, if I just keep staring at the leads channel and don't take anything, where is that going to take me? Nowhere. You take a lead, you take that phone call, who knows what's going to happen? Like it's just as simple as that. You
roll the dice.
Can't get anywhere without doing an action.
That's so true. We talked about with Mike the first lead jitters, as he
very real
quaintly refers to it as. But you're so right. Like unless you just freaking do it, nothing will ever happen for you. So
just kind of repeat it like a mantra in your head.
Just
say it over and over. And that literally, I repeated it in my head like 20 times when I was first an agent. And it eventually pushed me to do it. It sounds so stupid.
No, it's great advice. We kind of touched on it throughout here of just like not giving up sort of, which is kind of in line with what you're saying. So just freaking do it, people. Oh my God. Talking about the same things on here, but have you seen that meme? I bring this up sometimes and people don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
I hope I know it.
I don't know if you would call it a meme, but it's a little image, right? Okay. I'm sorry to the viewers who have heard me explain this 100 times. Okay, it's a guy. He's mining, right?
Okay.
He's mining for diamonds.
Okay.
And he stops right before he gets to where the diamonds actually are, and he like turns around and walks away. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen this. I'm so sorry. I know I want to know it so badly.
It's all right, but it's just that same kind of, it's just an illustration.
Same
of
mentality for sure.
Don't give up. You never know what's on the other side. So one of these days, Emily, someone will know what I'm talking about.
Become educated. Don't worry. Just have it on the wall. Just have
that's a
picture.
Great idea.
Actually, oh my God, you should have the panel of it. Like if it's a video or something and just be like, look at that right there. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh my God. I do bring it up so much that I really should. Okay, I'm gonna do that.
Do it, please. Yeah. I want to see a picture.
It'll replace this or something, so it's in frame. I could just be like, oh man.
Great.
Emily, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Kind of breeze through everything there. Is there anything you want to promote? Your social media, perhaps, or anything like that?
Follow me on Instagram and TikTok, emilyhaight.agent. I am trying to come out with more content, do some new things, new series, hopefully coming out soon called Flip or Flop, where I look at flipped homes and see if it truly was a successful flip or if the fridge door is not going to allow you to access your dishwasher. So we're going to hopefully go into that. I've done it on Snapchat a little bit where I'll show videos and stuff, but people get a laugh at it, like where they give you the landlord special at a house where they paint over some cockroaches and stuff. I love when they paint over like the wasps and whatnot. Yeah. And it's like ingrained into the wall and you're like, oh damn, that's nice.
Or like the hardware on the doors and stuff like that.
You peel it off. I think I saw a video from you're just peeling off the wallpaper and it's oh God, dude.
It's sad.
Follow me. We'll have fun with that.
Flip or flop. You heard it here first, folks. Emily, once again, I appreciate your time. I'm going to give my plugs now. Everyone's favorite part of the show. Follow us. Instagram, Facebook, at The Real Estate Playbook. My microphone is unplugged.
No.
It happens. So how's your day going? Well, that didn't work. I'm just going to do it on camera.
Okay, it's fine. I was like, at least it's the last part.
Yeah, literally. Okay, so my microphone is no longer plugged in. However, you should know that you can follow us at The Real Estate Playbook on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Shout out to TikTok. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe so you can see more of our faces. If you're listening, why are you doing that? Go to YouTube and subscribe. Actually, listening is fine. I know people are driving sometimes, yada, yada, yada. Like, follow, 5 stars, all that nonsense. I can say this in my sleep at this point. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. See you next week.